Okay, I paused. Hi, this is Christina Mogg with Hoopla.
Hey, I'm Megan from Southern Branding.
And today we are going to be talking about decoration techniques. Megan has a lot of fun stuff to show you guys. I'm going to start off with kind of a basic necessity when you work with branded products, and it's called vector art and PMS colors. And we're laughing because honestly, most people, unless you've done a lot of branding already, don't have a clue what that is. You don't have the software in your computer to open up the files. So it's a common kind of issue. When I ask someone for vector art, I always kind of preface it with saying, usually ends in the file will usually end in AI, SVG, or EPS. And I would say 50% of the time, I will get a JPEG back.
Yes. So let's just dive into it. So
yeah,
explain exactly what vector art is.
Okay. So, before when I was on the buying end, I did not know what vector art is. And I really only understand it now because I'm on this side of the business. And so basically, if you look at a JPEG, let's say, or, a PNG of your logo, if you were to blow that up really large, it's made of tiny little pixels, which are squares. Yep. So it gets degraded when you're decorating things. And so what a vector art is, it's a certain type of file. And then what they do is I guess what you would say, they convert the edges into like curves so that no matter how large or small you make the item, it's gonna hold its integrity and not exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can't take, off of someone's website, like click the image and then send that in to be printed. That is not.
You could. And if someone was willing to do that for you, run the other way because it will not look good. Right.
That's very true. And it's hard sometimes to explain what vector art is. And also even, like you said, it's normally an AI or an EPS file. And even when receiving those, sometimes that can still just be what's called a placed image.
Correct.
In that type of file. And that also is not vector art.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. And so what I do for my clients that kind of need this support is I will get it vectorized for them if they just are struggling to get the file. And then I'll save it in their client folder and I'll also send it to them so they have a copy in the future. And usually that costs about anywhere from I would say roughly $20, and it's a 24-hour turnaround. So it's really not the end of the world if you don't have it. I don't want to take up all our time talking about vector art, but one other thing I do want to talk about is PMS colors. So brand colors, the reason why you want to identify your brand colors, and you could, if you have a hex code from Canva or something like that, you can go on to Pantone's website and convert it and find whatever colors you want to be your PMS colors if you don't have those called out already. But the importance of having PMS colors is brand consistency, because if you're not having your PMS colors, you could get a whole array of items and they all could be a different shade of red, like say for Southern Branding, if they didn't call out a PMS color. So some suppliers charge for a PMS match and some just include it. So it's really imperative that you have your vector logo and you have your colors called out so that they can be on file and you have brand consistency whenever you order any items.
Totally. And a lot of that also has to do kind of segueing in then with how something is actually being printed. So if it's being printed as a spot, what's called a spot color, so it's just one color that is being imprinted. Most suppliers have a group of stock colors, that you're choosing from. And then, as you said, to be able to do a specific color, there usually is a fee for that because they're literally mixing to create that specific color, especially with screen printing. That's very much true. Versus if you're printing something digitally or it's being sublimated or, another type of decoration technique, you want to call out what the PMS color is, what the CMYK conversions is. It's not going to print as a PMS spot color. It's going to be printing digitally, but you want to reference what that PMS color is so you do get the best possible match to it. So we were going to talk a little bit then about some of what the different decoration is. And, there's different decoration for all the different things that you're actually decorating as well. So if we're talking about...
Can we start though with those 3 bottles? Because those are such good. Let's start with those because those are so cool. And
yeah, so this would be, we call hard goods, drinkware, anything on the promo side versus the apparel side. So what Christina here is referring to, I have these bottles. I think it's just a great example that we use to show what different decoration techniques are. So this is a laser engraving on a bottle. Very clean, beautiful. Notice the logo. So this is taking that same logo and making it a wrap around the bottle with spot color. So what that means then is each one of these colors is printed like spot with as a pad print. It's being not printed digitally, but printed as individual colors one at a time.
They're rolling, let's say they're rolling the black on first, and then they're rolling on that green color, and then they're rolling on the red.
So what that would also mean is that there is a setup for each one of those colors.
Yep.
So that's the way it works when we're talking about printing and setup charges is there's a setup fee for each color that you're printing on each item that you're printing, because the actual setup of it, the process is different for every single item. The logo size is different on here than it would be if you're printing it on a power bank, for example.
Right.
So it requires a different setup, which is another question that you get a lot.
Yes.
Okay, and then this is an example taking the same logo, same artwork. And this is a digital print with a full color wrap on it. So what this would mean is that this is actually digitally printed. It's not done spot color. Everything is done at once and the entire thing is wrapped when it's done. Usually there's one setup fee for this. That's going to be a higher setup fee is how it works. Although now, we're seeing a lot of suppliers even offer free setups on some things like that too, that are being digitally printed because it's not as labor intensive in that way, which is super cool. We mentioned last time sublimation a little bit. So there's a difference between, and by the way, this is I am not a printer. This is the limited knowledge of it. But there's the difference between when we talk about digitally printing something versus sublimation. So sublimation is actually a process where you take something that's full color, you print it out on a specialty type of paper, and then it's applied with heat to whatever it's being applied to. And it's the process of going from a solid to a gas via heat. So the heat turns it into gases that then intertwines into the fabric, and it's then there forever. So that's kind of like the dumbed down, the way my brain can understand how sublimation works. So this would be sublimation on a piece of drinkware. So you can see all the colors. There's just no way something like that could have been pad printed, spot colors. This is sublimated. This is then something that would have been digitally printed, meaning a printer is going over it and it's being printed digitally. When we talk about that with apparel, there's a technique that we talk about that's called direct to garment printing. And
DTG.
Yep, DTG, and it's great because it's a great tool for when you just need a couple of t-shirts. Maybe you have a lot of colors. It's usually priced by how large the design is, and then per location. It's a really great tool to have. And it's similar to sublimation in that you can get the full colors. Doesn't matter how many colors you have in your artwork. But the difference between the two is sublimation works with polyesters. And then DTG actually works better with garments that are cotton. So depending on, what you're actually printing on, and then also depending on, the way that you want it to turn out and to look, like that kind of worn vintage feel that's really good right now. That's great with anything that's a poly blend.
Yeah.
That's going to have a little bit of a cotton into it, and it's going to get you more of that worn feel versus if it's 100% polyester, those colors are going to really, a lot of masks. When you're singing, I was trying to like, oh, I've got a mask sample somewhere. The masks that are full color, that's 100% polyester. She's grabbing one. Whoop, whoop.
Here's my hoopla mask.
Love it. Yep. So there's just all kinds of decoration techniques available and out there. And, that's one area that really I've seen change in the industry. We've been doing this for 13 years. This year is 13 years. And really probably in the past 3 to 5 has been the most exciting with seeing the different decoration techniques that are becoming widely available.
And I do want to just say something real quick about the DTG. Even from when I started in the industry 3 years ago, DTG was pretty new because the machines are so expensive. Not everyone was really doing that. But now the suppliers are actually making specific shirts that are for DTG. And that's how much the industry is changing, is that now they have actual shirts that are specifically made with their blend to be soft, but also because, with 100% cotton, sometimes you can't get that soft tri-blend feel. And so it's just interesting that the suppliers are now kind of knowing that DTG is kind of blowing up and creating blank garments that are specific for that.
Well, it's what the demand is now. There has been very much a demand. There's been a need, to have something available where you can do short runs of things that are, full color. We see it with new hire kits, for all kinds of different things like that, where maybe you don't want to stock 72 t-shirts, 144, 200 something shirts.
Right.
You just need a few and you need a specific size and you need it on demand. Well, that's how it's being done.
So quick question about DTG.
Okay. Yeah.
Or I already know the answer, but I thought you could go into it, is, printing up, can you print on a black t-shirt? Can you print on a white t-shirt? Can you print the color white with DTG?
Yeah, there are limitations to it depending on what your art actually is.
Right.
It's going to look a little bit different. And it's also, there's a great visual, gosh, we should put this out there too, that talks about with screen printing, especially what we call an underbase.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're printing on colors. And you can Google it and you can see it, but
let's link it. We'll link it on either our blog. We both have our own blog, so we can link it on the blog. And so just go to our website, and this will probably be posted, what do you think, in the next week or so with the link.
Yeah. And you can see the difference on how something looks on a colored garment with an underbase and without, and then you can see what we're talking about. So yeah.
Do you want, well, we are about 12 minutes in.
Okay.
And so if there's anything else you want to show, we can do that, or we can do our fun question to end the show.
Man, I forgot about the question. You always surprise me with the questions. Yeah. Okay. What's the question?
This one's easy. What was your first car? What color? And what was your first car? And how old were you?
Okay. I was 16. And I babysat for a family during summers and saved up my money, and I bought my first car for $1,000.
Wow.
And it was, it was an Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme.
Oh, that sounds nice.
It was a hoopty, and I was rolling in it. Yep.
Yeah.
I was 16. I was one of the first of my friends to get a car. And let me tell you, this thing was ginormous.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was my first car. I was very proud of it. I paid for it, and I paid for my insurance. So,
and I too paid for my first car. I started working when I was 14, like at a burger joint, and then I worked at a clothing store. I worked a lot for a kid, and so I saved up all my money, and I bought my first car. But it was a brand new Honda Civic. Those were kind of popular back in the late 90s. So I bought that. It was a great car, but I swear I might have learned to drive on like a giant Oldsmobile Cutlass, which was a great car to learn to drive on, because if you can drive that unwieldy, like huge car,
it was a tank.
Yeah, they're big.
It was a tank. It was an 81 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. So I think I really just aged myself, but yeah. But you're right. It's good practice. Now I drive a Suburban and I can handle that thing like a champ in parallel park. So all
I
good.
love it. A Suburban, that's humongous. I drive a Prius currently. I buy a new car every 2 years because something's wrong with me. This is my second Prius because I had to buy this one because it has all-wheel drive, and I'm really scared to drive in the snow in Boise, even though it barely ever snows. But next year I'm turning 40, and so my dream car, my dream car is I might be pre-ordering for my 40th birthday a Tesla. So we'll see. I'll do a reel on it if I actually get it. Look for that.
Do a video on it.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Well, we're going to sign off, and we are going to do our next segment. It's going to be a little bit more personal. We are going to just talk about what it's like to be moms and boss babes.
Own a business. Yeah.
Yeah, owning our own business and kind of balancing or trying to balance it, and what we do to kind of get through that. So we'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.